Here we go, day 26, third day of me being what we call boots on the ground here at my military training, and I am going full-on DFAC dining facility from the U.S. Army for my meals today. But before we can get to the food, we got to start with a couple of body measurements, namely weight, and I'm actually kind of happy that this number went back up a little bit, a full pound in fact, 209 from yesterday's 208, namely because of that concern that I expressed, that it was too much weight, too fast, and that there might be muscle loss involved. So yeah, I actually feel pretty good about that. And it's still more than 13 pounds lost. Plus, that is continuing to give me the motivation to keep doing this diet, including what I had for breakfast. It started with a bit of a fat boost, cup of coffee, some of the heavy cream I got at the commissary, and then I was on my way to the DFAC, where I got a simple meal, big old chunk of scrambled eggs and lots of nice bacon, pile of cheese, and you see that hard-boiled egg? I didn't actually eat it, so just ignore that from the photo. This plus the coffee with cream, 739 calories, 59 grams of fat, excellent start, 44 grams of protein, and 4 grams of net carbs. Now to lunch, where I went in with a plan, keeping in mind yesterday where I talked about how a dining facility is very protein heavy, not so much fat. Well, how do I increase that? That's right, the sauces. So in order to up those fat grams, I've got 2 burgers, a couple packets of mayo, packet of ranch, broccoli, and a helping of cheese with some side of onions. You know I lost those buns, right? Yep, and in their place, I put the mayo, the cheese, and some of the onions and made this I don't know, you could almost call it a homemade meatloaf of sorts. Again, definitely looks gross to the non-keto person and perhaps even to the keto person. Then that packet of ranch on top of the broccoli and boom, grams of fat added. However, I made one major mistake. So this meal, I based my choices off of yesterday's lunch. Well, yesterday's lunch, I completely forgot to account for the packets of mayo that I put in there. So these numbers, 716, 58 grams of fat, yeah, no, wrong. Pump those things up a little bit. So that was yesterday's lunch. That also means the totals for yesterday, a little off. So these numbers, calories, 214, grams of fat, 147, also on the low side. Time to fix. Today though, I did calculate everything properly, and yeah, this is what being misinformed by yourself from the day before can do to a meal. Totals for lunch, 1,086 calories, 88 grams of fat, 64 grams of protein, and 11 grams of net carb. Breakfast and lunch alone together. I mean, really like lunch because of how big it was. I'm within spitting distance of what I'm supposed to have for the day. And here's the thing, before lunch, I had a snack. Again, keeping in mind that I'm trying to up the ante when it comes to fat, this was pecans. Calories, 241, grams of fat, 25, grams of protein, 3, grams of net carbs, 1. So breakfast, snack, lunch, and I have gone through all my calories, all my grams of fat for the entire day. Thus, within the confines of the diet, I'm done eating for the day. And I really thought that I was going to be able to pull that off. Alas, as it went on, I did get a little hungry towards the end, so I did have a very small dinner, and it was not from the DFAC. It was actually from the commissary supplies that I bought a couple days ago, specifically one small chunk of chicken. Thus, this dinner, 218 calories, 14 grams of fat, 22 grams of protein, and no grams of net carb. Which brings us to the day's totals, and they're large. They are large. Calories, 2,284. Keeping in mind my goal is 1,949. Grams of fat, 186. The goal there, 152, so 34 over. Grams of protein, 133. Goal 122. That one not too bad, but I've already explained why. But amazingly, grams of net carb, 16, when I'm aiming for 24. That is, when I hit my calorie mark anyways. Let's get those percentages of macrocalories, shall we? Fat, 74%, protein, 23%, carbs, 3%. And if my goal was 70, 25, 5, despite the high calorie intake, that's pretty darn good. So yesterday me screwed up, causing today me to screw up even more, but tomorrow me is going to learn from these mistakes, gosh darn it. 3 days in and I feel like I've finally got the hack down right as to how to eat at an Army DFAC and balance a keto diet, which is sauces, but not to overdo those sauces. And with tomorrow being the last day that I've got a full day at the DFAC, I'm going to do my best to try and really nail it. This has been quite an adventure and so fun that it would happen in the middle of all this diet video making thing that I'm doing here. I also hope that perhaps there's someone out there that has gotten some very specific use out of it too. I can't imagine many people are eating at Army DFACs, but for that select group, you're welcome. hopefully. That does it for day 26, 34 more to go. One more here at the DFAC, 2 more on the military training, then I'm back home, and I hope you're sticking with me.